I was a TV weatherman for more than 40 years. I talked about floods and storms and tornadoes and blizzards and ice storms and all kinds of things. And when I wasn't talking about that, I was talking about what you could see in the sky. Things like eclipses, meteor showers, various planets, and so on. But I'm not the weatherman anymore. But I still have a lot to talk about. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hey Kevin Show. This is number 5, and I want to thank everybody for the just absolutely great response I've been getting. I see you at the grocery store or at the gas station or wherever, and you always say to me, you say, Kevin, we just really miss you on TV, but we really love your podcast. And so thank you for watching. I really appreciate that. Now, I've had some people ask certain things, and so I'm going to address that. First of all, this bottle here, Triple X. This is my go-to. It's the best root beer, and I just love root beer, and so I love a Triple X. The home of Triple X actually is up in Lafayette, Indiana. There is actually it's West Lafayette. There's a little diner kind of a place up there, Triple X, and they have the best root beer, a good old grilled hamburger. It's just really, really good. Let me see, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, this book here, and I'm going to get into this one of these days. Cosmos and Psyche. Richard Tarnas wrote this book, and it's fascinating because it has to do. It's not exactly astrology. It's not really astrology, but he draws a very nice sort of correlation between what has happened in the sky, where planets are in certain positions and so on, and certain events here on Earth. And so I'll talk to you about that sometime because I think it's very fascinating. I'm not convinced that the planets influence us necessarily, but there is some research that shows that something might be going on with that. So we'll see. A couple of people I want to say hello to. First of all, Anita Bryant from Southern Indiana. Anita, this is Hey Kevin, okay? This is the Hey Kevin Show. So Anita asked, Hey Kevin, I live in Southern Indiana and I'm noticing that the trees are losing their leaves before they're changing color. Is that because of the dry weather? Absolutely, Anita, yes. Yeah, it is. I notice in my yard I've got a maple tree that, the leaves are curling up, and you can look at the trees, even though we've had some rain just recently. It's not enough really to bring everything back, and the trees are doing what trees do. They're beginning to shut down to get ready for winter, and if they have to conserve that water. And so that's going on, what's going on with that. Now, Kylie Coatney had a couple of questions. First of all, she said, Kevin, what do you think about the flat Earth? I don't know exactly what to make of it. I hear these people talking about the possibility of a flat Earth. And what do you think? Well, let me look here. I've got a picture. Let me dig around with this. Look at this. See, there's a picture of the Earth. See, it's round. Oh no, wait a minute. Well, at any rate, as far as I know, the Earth is round, okay? So I wouldn't worry too much about falling off the edge, but some people believe the Earth is flat. In fact, I have a friend who's a professional person who absolutely swears by the fact that the Earth is flat. And this is an educated person, so we'll just leave it at that. And what about Antarctic ice? Kylie also asked about growing Antarctic ice. We've been hearing about climate change and global warming and whatever sort of name you want to attach to it. But now there have been some reports that the ice in Antarctica is actually growing. Some of it is. There still is some that is not as much as it used to be, let's say 100 years ago. But there are some indications that the ice is growing in Antarctica. And I just read an article the other day that said, are we headed for another ice age? Takes me back to the 70s. If you were around in the 70s, that was all the thing. We're headed for an ice age. Watch out for that. And now it's global warming. Who knows what will be next? I know what will be next. How about the weather word? Here we go. Chronophobia. Chronophobia. Chronophobia is the irrational fear of lightning. So, oh, and brontophobia is the fear of thunder. So if you have a fear of lightning, you have chronophobia. And if you have a fear of thunder, you have brontophobia. And if you have them both, wow.
Your car isn't just transportation, it's your first impression. At Deluxe Detailing, we make sure it's a great one. From deep interior cleaning to showroom shine exteriors, we bring the sparkle back to your ride. Fast, flawless, because every detail matters. Deluxe Detailing, where your car gets the VIP treatment it deserves.
All right, it's time to talk about what's in the sky. I'm going to talk about what's in the sky for the month of October. That way you have the whole month to take a look and see some of the things that will be going on. The one thing that I want to point out is that the new moon, which means that actually there's no moon visible in the sky. The new moon was on the September the 21st, all right? So September the 21st was the new moon. We're headed for the harvest moon on October the 6th. So each night, the moon will grow from a crescent to eventually a full moon on the 6th. And I'm going to tell you something here about the crescent moon. You can tell the season by the appearance of the crescent moon. And let me do this here for you. Because the crescent moon, when we think of a crescent moon, we think of it being like that. See, like my good arc. You like that, Devin? Okay. So there is the crescent moon. So this is close to what the crescent moon looks like in autumn. But in the springtime, the crescent moon actually, I'll do this, has more of a look like the terrible artist. See, the crescent moon changes. It's like this in the autumn, and it's like this in the springtime. And so the crescent moon changes over the seasons. And so when you look at the crescent moon, as we're headed for the full moon on October the 6th, the harvest moon, just keep in mind that that crescent moon is telling you the season. And there are some other things going on here in the sky as we take a look at the rest of the month of October. I've got my pages all out of line. We have meteor showers. The Geminid meteor shower is going on October the 18th. The Orionid meteor shower, which is probably the best of the month, the Orionid meteor shower is going on October the 20th. And that's good because it's a really good meteor shower, and the moon will be less full because we'll be headed now to another new moon after we get to October the 20th. So that's the way things are shaping up. Lots in the sky as we take a look at the month of October, including that glorious harvest moon. And the harvest moon is the full moon closest to the first day of fall. Okay? And so that's how you choose the harvest moon. The phrase, as above, so below.
This is as above, so below.
It goes back thousands and thousands of years. And it's something that has to do, generally speaking, with life here on Earth should imitate or mimic life as we see it here in the heavens, where things are perfect here, and trying to be perfect here. Makes complete sense. Well, many, many, many years ago, more than 3,000 years ago, in Mesoamerica, with the Aztecs and some of those people down in Mesoamerica thousands of years ago, they invented a game. And this was a game that was designed to imitate the movement of the sun throughout the course of the year. And what happens with the sun from the course of the year? It'll go from being high in the sky on summer, and then it goes down to the southern horizon in winter. And all year, the sun just goes back and forth. Every year, back and forth. And so now, when you watch football or soccer, or to a certain degree, basketball, ball games like that have their root in an old Mesoamerican ball game called Ola Malitzati. I think I've pronounced that right. Ola Lamitzati. And so this was designed to imitate the movement of the sun. And so when you watch ball games, when you're watching your favorite football team or whatever, and you see the ball going from one end of the court to the other end of the court, just think what you're really watching is a reenactment of the yearly movement of the sun from north to south. And what you want to avoid is the sun getting knocked out of bounds, and well, you don't want that. And when it goes out of bounds, you just start all over again. So there you go. Let's do weather quiz. These are always fun, and I always like to make them somewhat topical so that when I do this podcast, it has something to do with maybe what's going on outside right now or in the immediate future. Well, tonight we're going to talk about the weather quiz, and it is this. Fall begins on a what? Fall started here just a few days ago, so fall begins on a what? Is it an equinox or a solstice? Here we go. You got it? It's an equinox. Yes, we had the autumnal equinox back on the 22nd of September. And so now it's officially autumn here. And one of the things that when we talk about the equinox, which I think is kind of interesting, the word itself, equinox, is from the Latin. Equa meaning equal and nox meaning night. And so the common belief on the equinox, the first day of fall, is that all across the globe, everybody has the same amount of light and darkness. That's what I was taught when I was in school and so on. And then I started to think, well, you know, I looked at sunrise and sunsets and so on, and I noticed that around here, the sunrise and sunset were not exactly 12 hours apart on the 22nd. And here's the reason that happens. It has to do with Earth's atmosphere and the way we define sunrise and sunset. So, first of all, you need to know that Earth's atmosphere bends light. So, because of this bending of light in the atmosphere, as the sun is rising, just the little nub of the sun peaks above the horizon at sunrise. When you see that, that's when we officially say it's sunrise. The thing about it is, when you see that sun right there on the horizon, that is a sort of an image of the sun. That's not the sun. The atmosphere is bending the light. The sun is still here below the horizon, but you see it because the atmosphere is bending the light. The same thing happens in the evening. When the sun is setting and you still see the sun itself has already gone down, okay? And so you still see the sun a little bit, and then it drops below the horizon. That's how we define sunrise and sunset. And so because of this bending of light and this sort of juxtaposition of where the sun is and where it looks like it is, the equinox, actually for us, we don't have an equal amount of daylight and darkness until about 5 days after the equinox. Our day for us here in the immediate Wabash Valley is going to be September the 25th. That's the day when we have nearly 12 hours of light and nearly 12 hours of dark. And so after the equinox, you still have just a few days left to enjoy that extended light before finally we go into more light or more dark and less light. Well, I've heard that you guys like to hear stories, so I'm going to tell you a story, and this is true. I talk a lot about growing up in the country because that's where I really developed my appreciation, my love for nature and the sky and so on, because I spent so many hours just out with no lights all around, just looking at the sky. It was great. And anyhow, when I was, very, very young, we moved to the country in north of Peru, Indiana, and our house was nestled in a woods, all right? And there was across the street another house and a big woods behind that. And two boys lived across, I said street, two boys lived across the road. They were a little bit older than I was, but they had the best tree house. I was about 7 years old when this happened. And so back behind their house in the woods was this tree house that they had built. And the thing about this tree house is it had an elevator. And so what they did is they had a wash tub, see, and they tied a rope to the wash tub and put the rope up through a block and tackle and then down. And on the other end of the rope, tied some logs to counterbalance. And so the idea was you get in the wash tub and you could pull yourself up, get off at the tree house up there. It was so cool. Well, my mother heard about this, and she said to me, "You better never get up on that treehouse. You'll fall down and you'll break your neck and blah, blah, blah." I love my mom. See, don't get through. But anyway, she warned me. She said, "Don't get in that treehouse." Well, what did I do? I'm over there. They're at the treehouse, looking around, Mom's not around. She's across the road. So I get in this wash tub, and I'm going, and the wash tub, the two logs hit the bottom of the wash tub. They fall out. These two logs fall out. I hit the ground from about 6 feet, knocked the wind out of myself, busted my lip open. And those two boys, I think Mark and David were their names, they walked me home and then left. They just kind of pushed me up into my yard and let me deal with that. My mom looked out and said, "Were you in that treehouse?" "Yeah, I was." And that's the treehouse story. And you know what? If I had a chance to do it again, I'd do it again. That was the coolest treehouse. Well, that does it for another rendition of the Hey Kevin show. I really appreciate you watching and some of the input that we get. And I always will try to answer some of the questions that you submit. Yes, Dreamer Productions, just submit it. Or if you see me showing up on Facebook or whatever, you can always put the question in there as well. So one thing I did want to mention, I talked about the equinox a little while ago, and some of you are wondering, and I actually did at first too, why is the equinox not on the same day every year? It changes. Like, for example, this year it's the 22nd, and sometimes it changes. Well, the equinox can change from the 21st to the 24th. All right, and so it varies. Usually it's the 22nd or 23rd, and the reason it changes is because the year is 365 and a quarter days. So every once in a while we plop in a leap day, a leap year, and so because of that, the date of the equinox will change. And so I hope that answers that for you. If you have questions, please feel free to submit them. I'd be more than happy to check it out with you. Don't forget to check out my Prairie Press article every Friday at the Prairie Press from up in Paris, Illinois, available only at the best locations. And also, we might want to check out the corn maze at L&A Family Farms. It's a Hey Kevin corn maze. Thank you, folks, for doing that for me. Anyhow, thanks for watching this episode of Hey Kevin. We'll see you next time. Oh, and remember, oops, there's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing.